Thanks for being here, everybody. It's a little dark. I want to share a little bit about what I did, but also let you know that Fulbright has a lot of different programs. So even if you can't picture yourself picking up and moving overseas for a semester or a year, there are other ways that you might be able to utilize what Fulbright is offering to help make our campus more international. This word internationalizing is like a new buzzword. I think it means more global connections. We already have global connections at Marymount, but this is something that I hope you're already convinced is a benefit to us as a university, and if you're not, we can talk about it over lunch. So I'm going to go very quickly. We only have a few minutes here. So this is the background of the Fulbright program. It was created after World War II, the idea being that the more exchanges, cultural exchanges we have with other countries, the less likely we will find ourselves in armed conflict. So when I was in Slovenia, which is the country I went to, and people would say, well, why did the US government send you over here? I would say, I'm here with this message. We love you and we want you to love us too. So when I was in the US and when I would tell people about my Fulbright award to Slovenia, they always said, I love Slovakia. So I was in Slovenia, not Slovakia. And when people would say to me, well, how are they different? All I could say is, well, I only spent a lunch in Slovakia, so I don't know a lot about it. But they're different countries, so we'll start with that. So I was in Slovenia. You can see it is a wonderful location right in the middle of Europe. Just a couple of quick slides. Ljubljana is the capital, and that's where I was for 5 months for my 5-month award. It's a quaint medieval city with a castle in the middle. Slovenia is also known for is known for its beautiful landscape. So here we have mountains, lakes, coastline, etc. It is probably less known for its unique business model of the horse burger chains. Yes, the hot horse. So I had a teaching award. I was affiliated with the University of Ljubljana. I had 2 courses that I was team teaching with other scholars, and the model of European education is quite different in that it's the lecture model. Students, it's free education. Students come if they want. You don't have a roster. It was very, very strange to teach there. And it led me to a much greater appreciation of the thoughtfulness that we put into our educational model here, and especially at Marymount. There were no readings, for example. No readings, no assessment, until the very end, when they have a huge exam that they can take 4 times over the next 2 years. Anyhow, I wanted to point out that I'm not the first Fulbrighter. These are the 3 people that I know of, and there may be others. Marymount doesn't publicize this. Hint, hint, other schools do, because they consider it a prestige thing to have faculty go on Fulbright awards. So if you're not on here and you had a Fulbright, I'm sorry, I didn't know. But these are other people that you can go to for if you have questions about what they did, if it interests you. So I'm going to go through these slides really quickly. These are the eligibility requirements. This is what people do, at least last year. You can see different things. Most people are teaching or doing research, or a combination. When you apply, you have to decide teaching or research or a combo. The application process is getting together all of these materials. I've highlighted the project statement because that's the hardest piece, is writing a project statement that explains what you're going to do, and yet a lot of times what you end up doing is quite different than your project statement. And so it's this little exercise in wishful thinking of, I'm going to do all of these things. But really it's up to the university what you end up doing when you get there. So these are the requirements for going on a 2 to 12 month Fulbright, what they call core award. There are other types of awards that Fulbright gives out, but I'll get to in a second. The basic benefits that they provide are a living stipend, and teachers are paid more than researchers. As you can see here, associates are paid slightly more than assistants. I want to add that you do not have to be a professor to get a Fulbright award. You can be a professional and get a Fulbright award. So it's not only for faculty. So if you have friends outside of academia that would love to travel and they have a professional skill that could be useful in a university, then let them know about it. I went to Slovenia that provided a housing stipend, which was very helpful, and some locations offer a lot more. My impression in spending hours and hours looking through the catalog of awards is that the less popular the country is as a destination, the more they offer. So if you want to go to London, you're going to get very little. If you want to go to Sierra Leone, they'll probably fly you on a private jet. Some of the other awards, and a lot of these are fairly recent efforts by the Fulbright organization to get more people applying and going overseas. So you've got the postdoctoral awards, which are still open. I should have said that the Fulbright awards applications are due in August. They've extended the deadline for the early career awards, and that means you received your terminal degree in 5 years or less. Then you would qualify for an early career award. The specialist program is perfect for people who maybe want to go over the summer or over their Christmas break. And then the Flex Awards is this brand new thing where you can go several times, usually over the summer, back to the same country where you're doing some kind of research or collaborative project. So the benefits to the university, I think, are pretty obvious, but if anyone should ask you, these are some helpful reminders of what the university gets out of it. I also really want to stress the Fulbright for students because I think this is a great thing. When I was in Slovenia, I met a lot with the students that were, and also during the orientation period. So there are these two different kinds of grants for students, and especially the ETA awards are I would say, less competitive than the research awards. And these are ones that I think a lot of Marymount students would really enjoy. They do not go to Slovenia because Slovenians already speak English very well, but they go to lots of different countries. And then the research awards are perfect for somebody who maybe is more at a master's level or even at a doctoral level doing a research project. So if you have students that want to go abroad after graduation, this is a great option for them. And the Center for Global Education, Victor's here, is the center that will support them through the application process. And this is something I hope we can see a lot more Marymount students doing. And the last thing that I wanted to stress is that we can use Fulbright money to bring scholars to Marymount. And Fulbright has a program where they're trying to get liberal arts colleges and colleges that serve minority students to benefit more from this program by essentially putting them to the front of the list. So they're taking schools that might not have as many international contacts through their faculty and saying, we want you to get international faculty. And one of the things that's changed with this program, and I should say the Scholar in Residence program is for teachers. So you're bringing somebody from outside the US to come and teach. One of the things they've changed is that they no longer require you to provide a stipend or housing. That's because they've increased the amount of money that they're providing to the foreign scholars. So what they're now requiring is in-kind contribution. And I asked them on the phone, can you give me an example of that? And they said, well, like office space and a computer. So they've really tried to make it easier for universities like Marymount to take advantage of this program. So this is something that I've talked about with many faculty, and we've always kind of wondered, well, where would you start with this if you really wanted to do it? And my understanding is that you should start at the department level and make sure your department is willing to host someone, because they come over to teach their part of your department, and you need to think about how what they're going to teach fits into your curriculum. And from there, it's a matter of coordinating with academic affairs, with the Center for Global Education, maybe International Student Services if they need a special visa, that would be the office that can help with that. So coordinating these different places. And I think it's very doable, but we don't have a clear-cut process to make it happen. If you're interested in this, let's maybe use today and especially our break time to talk more about how we could bring in some visiting scholars to Marymount. So last thing to say is that Fulbright is an excellent program, and I want to thank Marymount, especially Sherry, for supporting me to make this work in my department. And just to remind you that This is a program paid for by tax dollars. This is State Department. Many of us had a lot of questions about our representing the State Department overseas and what that would mean. And technically, we're cultural ambassadors when you're on a Fulbright Award and you're not working for the State Department. You're considered like I don't know what you would call it, a contract employee, I guess. You're not actually an employee. But this is a program that's out there. Our government puts a lot of money into it. And I hope that we can get excited about using those resources a little bit more here at Marymount. So that's my short presentation. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yes?
So how did you adjust lecturing to a group of people who don't have to read and interact with you? Must have been a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge, but it's kind of like the challenge we have in all of our classes just multiplied, which is how do you engage people in the classroom? But the bigger challenge for me is that I wasn't the professor of record. I didn't create the syllabus. I wasn't doing any of the exams at the end. So I sort of had no leverage, which made me, I offered them what I had to offer them. There were a lot of problems with it, one of which is that the students were expecting the class to be in Slovenian, and then all of a sudden it's in English. And even though people say Slovenians speak English very well, it really does vary. And I think that was a huge challenge for the students. But they don't speak up very much in class, and they don't say I'm having a problem. So it was a challenge. I found it very, very difficult. I can't say that I enjoyed the teaching very much because of the way it was set up. And like I said, I appreciate Marymount all the more. Caroline.
What do you think they're looking for?
In which type of award? The one I did? They're looking for people that have a passion for global interaction. Most of us do, so I think that most of us would fall into that category. They're looking for people that want to meet people from other countries. So one of the things you do at the end is a report, and they ask you, how many interactions did you have with people in Slovenia? As if, like, the worst case scenario is you go over there and you don't talk to people, right? They want you to be talking to people, to be getting out, talking to people, getting to know them, and them getting to know you, hoping that you represent the U.S. well.
Do you have a sense of how much of a balance is going to be between the traditional programs and, say, the flex program? Do you think they're going to be putting enough money for it as a sort of push? They're going to have a lot more money for it, or is it going to be like a 20 or 30 positions and the rest of them are going to be the traditional programs?
Well, everything is in the catalog for awards, so you can see how many the Flex Awards they have versus other awards. Okay. The Flex Awards are different in that it's more of a research focus or a collaborative project, a research collaboration that you have to go back to that country. Like I was thinking of your research in Africa and thinking, oh, you go there a lot, right? So that's perfect. You're going to the same location a lot. But so the number of awards I can't tell you, but there's over 500 this year. And that's just for faculty, not for the student awards or for the people coming this way. Yes?
Did you decide at the outset that you wanted to go to Slovenia and sort of tailor your application with that in mind, or did you decide I want to go anywhere and Slovenia?
Well, the real challenge I found with the application is you have to know you can only apply to one country. And not only that, the country may require you to have a university already that has agreed to host you. And that doesn't require them to spend any money, but it means, okay, if I have a teaching award, you got to give me something to teach. So I originally applied to Austria, and I didn't get it. I had decided on this part of the world for the needs of my husband, who said, I want to go to Europe. So I had said, this is the part of the world I want to go to. But so then I had to write an application saying why I really wanted to go to Slovenia. And I was like, well, my husband really wants to go there. No, that would totally not work. I really had to do some work on figuring out I learned so much about Slovenia just writing the application, because you have to write it to the location that you're going to. And I think the project statement is definitely the hardest part of the application process. They have a lot of stuff online that you can look at. I ended up contacting people who had received Slovenian awards the last couple years and asking to read their project statements. So that was really helpful. It's a shame that they don't let you apply to more than one country, but that's their model. And they also they refuse to release how many people apply to each country. So you don't know how competitive the countries are. That's not true at the student level. The students, the recent graduates applying, can go online and find out how many people have applied to each location, and they can decide based on that where they want to apply, where their chances are better. But faculty, they don't allow it, and I have a suspicion why they don't, if you want to hear my theory. Fulbright is always insisting that it is an extremely prestigious award. And if they revealed how many people actually applied, then maybe we would find out it's not all that competitive, depending on the location. I applied 3 times before I got it. Austria seems like a hard one to get. But there are awards that are not given. For example, Bosnia-Herzegovina has not been able to give out its award for the last 3 years in the field of religion. Nobody's applying. Well, they won't tell you nobody's applying. They'll just say, we haven't been able to give it out. Anyway, so it's a challenging process, figuring out where to apply. I have like a map of different places that I was thinking about, and now I'm thinking about where I'm going to apply for my next one. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. What did you bring back? What are you using from that experience now?
Yeah, that's such a hard question to answer. I feel that the best benefit to me is something very personal, which is that the time that I spent over there is time to reflect about how I live, how we educate people, what are the things that were, kind of the level of purpose and meaning. So in Slovenia, they're not worrying about Afghanistan and ISIL. They're worrying about the economy. And they have a major brain drain. And the place that everyone wants to go is America. And there's a lot to question, about that. And why do they want to go? And what would it be like to live in a beautiful country with so little economic opportunity, where I can ski and go to the beach in the same day? Slovenia is tiny. But I will never make any more money than I'm making now. So that was what was most helpful to me, is thinking about those questions more and having conversations with people about them. So how that will translate into my classes, I could give you some rubric, but that's not very honest. I take back those questions and I have more honest conversations with my students about the purpose of their lives. We had an awesome time. It was just fantastic. And it was only 5 months. I applied for 9 months and I only got 5 months. And I wish it had been longer. I mean, it was just great, and I don't know how to explain it. I could tell you we lived at, a tiny apartment. That was a big piece of the adventure. Victor.
I just wanted to mention that Usha Rashtav also had a Fulbright, a short-term one that you use as an expert, so that you go and serve as an expert, and then you may have to come back to school.
Yeah.
So she went to India. Yeah, so she wasn't gone for 5 months. So
Yeah.
short term.
Sounds like she did the specialist award. And anybody can apply, and it's an open calendar of applications. There's no deadline. And you essentially put in your materials as, this is what I'm an expert in. And then if somebody in another country wants you to come, then you're in. I should say there are 2 levels of review. There's the US side, where peers are reviewing whether you should be allowed into the database of experts. And then on the other side, around the world, people are reviewing who's in that pool online. And it works the same for all the awards. They have a US team that is evaluating, and then the country evaluates. So it's a 2-step process, but that's great to know. Is anybody interested in bringing a non-US scholar to campus? Can you imagine a course they could teach? Yeah. I know I would love to have a expert in Islam come to campus to teach some courses on Islam. It'd be great. I think that there is support for this to happen. It just is somebody to take the first. I'm not even the first steps, because many of you have already had conversations. Lois has already looked into this, and so has Janine. And it used to be the housing was the big obstacle, but now that isn't necessarily an obstacle. They look at what they think the university should be able to afford, and then they work with you on that. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for listening. I hope that those pictures give you a sense of how beautiful Slovenia is. And now that you know where it is, that you will go there. And enjoy your day at your tracks. Thank you.